In 12 weeks, my son went from this to this without counting calories, without feeling tired, without being hungry, and feeling generally good. In this video, I'm going to break down how he built muscle and lost fat at the same time. Now watch it to the end because there's a bonus point that a lot of people miss. From a very young age, my son, I kept saying to me, you want to train? He said, no. I suppose when you live with a professional bodybuilder, it's too much. So I kept trying to get him into the gym. He wouldn't. In fact, there was once when I paid him, one of the PGs in the gym, I said, look, if you can get my son to train, I'll give you £100. It was a joke. But then next minute I saw my son walking down, he had a belt on, wrist straps. He went and trained, and then they took the money from him and the two of them shared it. Now, fast forward, he was 28 years old, and he said to me, Dad, I want to try this. Initially, I'd asked him for years. He said no. He goes, let me wait until after my birthday in September last year, and I'll do your transformation. I was over the moon. So I said to him, fine. So I know what his diet was like. He was getting takeaways every single day. He ate basically what he wanted. A young lad, go out with his friends, and he drinks alcohol. I used to watch him. I used to see him when he lived with us. And obviously, as a bodybuilder, somebody preached about nutrition. I'm not going to be telling him how to live his life. But eventually, when he said he wanted to do that, I was over the moon. So I'll tell you what we did. Everything that he did is exactly what I say in my muscle building ebook. The first thing we did was cut out all his carbohydrates. So what he was eating mainly was meat. When I say meat, I mean like chicken thighs, the skin on. He was eating ribeye steak, animal fat. He was eating mince, 20% fat. He doesn't like fish, but he was eating mainly, meat. And then with that, he had avocados, he had olives, he had cheese, he had the fats. 4 meals a day. Initially, we had 3. We were trying to lose a bit of body fat. He was a bit porky. He was carrying a little bit around here. Hey, if you're serious about losing fat and building muscle, join my community, Abu Crew. You get access to live coaching from me, in-depth video modules, and more. Thousands have joined and transformed their lives. Click the link in the description and join today. I'll see you inside. Now back to the video. First meal was just eggs and with cheese. Second meal will have maybe a certain amount of chicken. It worked out about 250 to 300 grams of cooked weight. That's it, chicken with the skin on, he'll eat that. And then you have some olives, avocado, cheese, nuts with that butter. And then it has cruciferous vegetables with that. So he had 4 meals like that. Sometimes he'd have eggs twice a day. Now, he documented everything he was doing on his TikTok and Instagram pages because we wanted people to realize that muscle building is a lot easier than it's been portrayed. I learned something completely different from what is going on in the muscle building world now, and I'm trying to share it. Slowly we found his mindset started changing because if you've been following me, you know that I talk about gut health quite a lot because if what you put in here is what makes you who you are. You can see his personality was changing, a lot calmer, and it was really good to see because I'd never seen that in Brandon in a very long time. He said it felt good. In fact, it felt good that after the 12 weeks, he continued. Let me tell you positive things that came out of it. And by the way, he had a cheap meal. I call it family meal. Just one meal on a Saturday night. We all used to sometimes go to a restaurant and have something to eat, which is something off the plan. We know it's not good, but then it just food is a social glue in this country. So we all tend to gravitate towards going out for a meal and going out to have a drink. That's how it is. So we have one cheap meal a week. We build muscle. If you look at the pictures, you see he built muscle. And on top of that, he lost body fat. You see, I'm trying to explain to you guys that if you're trying to build muscle, you need energy and nutrients. You need the protein, you need the vitamins, the minerals. Now, you can use carbohydrates as well as fatty acid as your energy source. But most of us trying to build muscle, we are not metabolically flexible. So our bodies only access carbohydrates. So what we did with my son was we slowly taught his body to access fatty acids as well. That means he became fat adapted. That means his body can use both carbohydrates and fats at equal times. His skin condition changed, like smooth. His anxiety was gone. His energy level was through the roof. His mood was generally better. Different person. He realized how good he felt and he thought, no, I'm not going to let it go. So he still eats the same way. I eat like that. In fact, right now, my diet's carnivore. And hopefully Brandon will also change the carnivore diet because and my wife does the same, my daughter does the same, and we feel amazing. One thing I want to say is this. I've been in the fitness industry for 45 years, and most of what you see now, people are just trying to sell you products. Muscle building and even fat loss, they're not as difficult as they've been portrayed. The reason why we struggle with them is because most of the people who are involved in it are trying to sell you stuff. They're not telling you the truth. In fact, a lot of them don't even know the truth. I knew it was something completely different. What my son brand is doing is something called the fat burns fat diet. So 3 or 4 meals a day, you eat fats and protein throughout the day. And then what we did with my son when he became fat adapted, when his body learned how to access fats and carbohydrates at equal times, then we started putting a little bit of carbs before and after training. And it felt amazing. And that's what we're supposed to do. That's what I learned at the beginning of my bodybuilding career when I started training in the early 80s. That's what the magazines talked about. If you eat this way, you find that you will not have the need to take the steroids that you've been taking. I see a lot of young lads in the gym, and you look at them, you think, dude, you don't look like you train, but you're taking all these steroids because your diet is messed up. If you change your diet, you can sort that out. Now I eat 2 meals a day for health reasons. I'm trying to fix a lot of the damage that were caused by taking copious amounts of insulin, copious amounts of steroids, and things that are wrong with me. So I'm trying to fix myself. So my diet is, I eat 2 meals a day, and it's practically carnivore. Now you see, I told you about, I'll give you a bonus point. Now tell you what I want you to do. If you're a guy and you're trying to build muscle, when you get up in the morning, have your first meal, eat about 6 to 8 eggs, and with that, have a bit of cheese with it. Have some water, make sure there's enough salt in it, nothing else. Now, eat that 4 hours later. Have about 250 grams of cooked weight chicken, any kind of meat. Red meat is the best, lamb. Make sure it's got high fat, 20% fat or even more. And then with that, have some cruciferous vegetables, spinach, kale, broccoli, asparagus, cauliflower, all of them. And then with that, you can have a fat choice. You can have either olives, avocado, you can have nuts, and then you have that meal again, similar. So you have the eggs for the first meal, second meal, have the meat, third meal, you can either have the eggs or the meat, similar. So keep changing the meals around. And before you make a comment and say blah, 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 just try it. I'm telling you, that's the quickest way to build muscle. If you've reached the end of this video, it means you're serious about your health and fitness. If you didn't know, I've got a private community where I do live coaching, in-depth video modules, and other resources. Click the link in the description to check it out and join thousands of others who've benefited. See you there.